Beach Talk Radio.
Hi, I'm Jim Levins, and I'm running for Lee County Sheriff. For more than 30 years, I've served on the front lines of law enforcement, all right here in Lee County. Now, as radicalized Democrats attempt to open our borders, destroy our churches, and defund the police, it is more important than ever to have a pro-cop, pro-Trump, pro-law and order sheriff who won't give in to the liberal mob and who will fight for you each and every day. That's exactly who I am, and that's exactly what I'll do. I'm Jim Levins, running for Lee County Sheriff, and I approve this message.
This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Live from Peach Time Out in the heart of Times Square, you're listening to Beach Talk Radio with Kim and Ed Ryan.
And good morning, everybody, and welcome to episode number 126 of Beach Talk Radio. It is Saturday, August the 8th, 2020, and we are broadcasting live from Peach Time Out on Fort Myers Beach in the heart of Times Square. And we want to make sure we thank all our sponsors, including Mango-Ritas for sponsoring Facebook Live and Peach Time Out and Fort Myers Tiki Tours and Island Oils, and we'll tell you all about all of our sponsors and including all of our new website sponsors and newsletter sponsors all throughout the morning. And later on in the show, Eddie Rude will be on to talk about the dune walkover issue that's going on in the town of Fort Myers Beach. But first, our first guest is Dane Eagle, and Dane is running for the 19th Congressional District. He could be your next congressman, folks. We wanted to make sure we have Dane on after we had Byron on last week, and it seems, Dane, that it's come down to maybe a two-person race between you and Byron. How's the campaign going?
It's going well, and first of all, thanks for having us on, Ed and Kim. Really appreciate the opportunity to be out here on the beach on this lovely Saturday morning, so I appreciate the invitation. Campaign's going well. It's really it is a dogfight. I mean, there's 9 people in the race. It could come down to 2, maybe 4, depending on the polling, but really the only poll that matters is Tuesday on Election Day, and of course, early voting's going on now. Absentee voting's been happening, so we are out there every day talking to the voters, making sure they understand what we stand for in my campaign, what I'm all about, and we're very positive, we're optimistic, but we're not too confident, because the minute you're confident is the minute you're losing. You got to continue to fight like you're 10 points behind and make sure that you're not letting your opponents gain on you.
So you are elected to the Florida House in 2012, right?
Yes.
And
correct.
you were voted in by the members to the majority leader position in 2018.
Correct. Yes, sir.
And you're from Cape Coral.
Born and raised. Yes, sir.
Bishop Verot High School,
Yes, sir.
Florida Gulf Coast University.
Let him answer?
Well, I
He's
want to
good,
make sure
he's got
everybody
it.
knows I did my research, and
like it.
and the University of Florida.
Correct. Yes, sir. All
Well,
correct.
And we're a graduate. So why in Fort Myers Beach? You got some history here.
I do. I mean, being born and raised in Southwest Florida, primarily Cape Coral. I was born in Lee Memorial Hospital. My birth certificate says Lee County, but on day 2, day 3, back home in Cape Coral. This has always been my home, Southwest Florida. But the beach, I mean, I can tell you growing up, we would come out here. My birthday's May 22nd. So historically, we used to have the boat races out here right around Memorial Day weekend. So we would rent out a condo at the Bel Air Beach Club every year for my birthday, and that was something I just look forward to every year, to come out here and then beyond. I mean, being at Bishop Verot High School, anytime we had a half day, we'd all pack up our bags and come out here to the beach and hang out. So actually being class president my senior year at Bishop Verot, my one campaign promise that I made and had to keep for eternity is the class year, or the class reunions. And I told them back in 2001, hey, our reunion's going to be on the beach. Just meet me there. And of course, in 2011, we hosted a huge class reunion out here on Fort Myers Beach, had the trolley take us around, had my 30th birthday out here. I mean, Fort Myers Beach has always been a staple in my life. So it's nice to be out here with you this morning.
I was going to say, before you went into that long, dissertation there, or, reviewing his curriculum vitae, that the race really now has come down to, at least for a lot of people, 4 people, kind of money and then experience.
Yeah.
And so can you tell people, you've said your history. What about
Sure.
your experience?
Right. And you're right. It's going to come down to 4 people. And I like to talk about what I have to offer. I don't really get into my opponents too much, but what I offer is that experience. And Ed, you touched on that. I was elected in 2012 to serve my community in the Florida House, and that's primarily the area of Cape Coral. But as a elected representative in Tallahassee, my focus is also regional. I work with my colleagues in Estero, Fort Myers Beach, Naples, you name it, to make sure that we are bringing home regional regional wins for the area. So I've been doing that for the past 8 years. And in 2018, I was selected to be the House Majority Leader. So my reach even went statewide. And I worked with Governor DeSantis these last 2 years to ban sanctuary cities, to clean our waterways, to protect life. Water, I know, is hugely important to the beach. It is to me because I'm born and raised here. We got $1.3 billion these last 2 years for crucial water quality projects. In this race, I've been endorsed by a group of over 30 captains. My mother's a boat captain out of Matlacha. Randy Wayne White has endorsed this campaign. So my position in this race is not about outside dollars. It's not about the money that I've been able to make in my career, because my career has been service. It's been about the grassroots and about the community and about the experience. I'm endorsed by our local leaders. I'm endorsed by community leaders. I'm endorsed by the Police Benevolent Association, the firefighters. I'm endorsed by our first responders. I am the community homegrown conservative, and that's what I bring to this table.
So you were elected the House leader when you were 36 years old.
Correct.
How many
Correct.
members of, I should have known this, but how many members of the House are there?
120.
So how do you get that position?
Well, and that's a great question, and that's something else I bring to the table. The legislative process. I mean, you get so many people that run for Congress or the legislature. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. You, as one person, can't do anything in the legislature. You got to be the governor or the president, and thank God we got Trump and DeSantis. They are those guys that say I can do this, but even they've got to work with Congress or the legislature. But as a member of the legislature, being one of 120 in the House and then 40 senators, so one of 160, or then in Congress 435 congressmen and 100 senators. I mean, you are but one person. The only way you can get something done is by building coalitions, finding like-minded people, building friendships. That is the only way that you can get success. I was able to prove that I can do that at a young age. I got elected at 29. I got to the legislature and I spent 6 years building those coalitions, working with friends, finding like-minded people. And through that leadership and that experience, my peers chose me to be their leader, the Republican leader. So I have that experience. On day one going to Congress, I know what I got to do. And what we've done in the past is we elect people without experience. And this will be the 5th congressperson that we've elected since 2012 because of that. I think it's time that we send someone there who knows what they're doing, because what I can promise you is I will get my sleeves rolled up, my hands dirty. I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to bring home results for Southwest Florida.
So you said to bring home wins. What wins have you brought home for your district?
Sure. So the first thing I mentioned, $1.3 billion for water quality. I think that is probably for district. I mean, for statewide, we've done so much for conservative values, free market reform, bringing down the cost of healthcare, making sure that law and order is established in the state. We've seen the riots and the burnings all over the country. We're not seeing it happen in Florida because we elect the right leaders, and frankly, we abide by law and order. But for local community wins, I think water quality has been the most important thing I've been able to bring home. And I can't say I alone did it. I did it by working with others, our regional leaders, Governor DeSantis. But we got $1.3 billion these last 2 years for water quality projects, not only local in the area, infrastructure projects, drain system projects, you name it, but projects for the dike, for the southern reservoir, east and west, blue-green algae mitigation, red tide research, you name it. We got money for those programs to make sure that these water quality woes are a thing of the past.
So you said build coalitions and reach across the aisle is what I hear you're saying, but that's well, okay.
He's not reaching.
Well, yeah, you left. But
I mean,
that doesn't really happen anymore.
Well, you bring up a point. I mean, the coalitions that I'm kind of mentioning are like-minded people. So while I'm one of 120, I'm a conservative. If I want to get conservative things done, I got to find other conservatives to stand with me and have more votes than one. So when I say building coalitions, I'm building coalitions with like-minded conservatives. However, yes, I mean, as majority leader, my position wasn't just to find those conservative principles and barrel through against the Democrats. You reach more opposition, you attract more bees with honey. So what we would do is I would go to the minority leader who is in charge of the Democrats, and I would say, listen, this is what we are doing as the leadership, as the majority. This is what we're getting done. We are not budging on these principles. However, what's important to you? And if we can agree, all the conservatives together, we're going to help you. And that doesn't mean, falling on our principles, but rather, I hate to say it, but sometimes Democrats may not have a bad idea. A lot of times they do, but sometimes they can bring something to the table that's worth listening to. And so we would build that coalition and bring them to the table. Again, not compromising on what we were doing or caving to them on something, but finding a way to have them maybe not oppose us as much, and you get things done a lot easier.
Now, I know we talked a little bit before the show, and we've talked about everybody who's been on about the negative kind of campaigning that's
Sure.
gone on. some of the stuff we heard last week was your vote on the gun bill.
Sure.
So can you talk a little bit about your thought process in that and,
Yes.
and why you voted the way you voted? And
Yeah, and I'll start with I'm a gun owner, a concealed weapon permit holder. I'm an NRA member, so I firmly believe in our Second Amendment. I've actually sponsored and co-sponsored 18 bills in the Florida House over my 8 years that would protect and defend our Second Amendment right. One of my biggest pushes over the last 8 years was getting rid of gun-free zones. It's an oxymoron to me. We have the right as constitutional right as citizens to carry a weapon. You got your concealed weapon permit. You can carry your weapon anywhere out here today, but the minute you step foot on school grounds, oh, that right's stripped from you. And that's what we saw happen at Parkland. We had someone go there and kill 17 people. One of them was a teacher who normally carried, and he had to use his body instead of his weapon to defend his students, and he died that day. So when this happened, we came together, then Governor Scott, now Senator Scott, President Trump, we looked at ways that we could actually save lives. And so that bill that came together actually did that. It armed teachers. It gave a pathway for teachers to train themselves so that they can arm themselves, so that these criminals that want to go kill people are going to think twice about stepping foot on that school ground because, hey, they're going to be met fire with fire. So that is something we did in that bill. So a vote against that bill is a vote against teachers being able to carry their weapons. A vote against that bill is a vote against President Trump because President Trump asked for that. Another thing President Trump asked for in that bill is constitutional due process. Now, my opponents are attacking me saying it was red flag laws. Red flag laws of other states are where your neighbor can come point at you and say, hey, come take their gun away. He looked at me funny or he said something. That's not what we did in Florida. What we did is said through a warrant, through a police officer only, through the 4th and 5th Amendment on clear mental health issues, can a police officer petition a risk protection order, and then that individual also has a right, a 14-day trial period, quick, to get their weapon back, something President Trump asked for. So to be attacked on my position, supporting our Second Amendment, defending teachers, is actually saying, hey, I am against President Trump. And by the way, 75% of Democrats voted against that bill. So voting against that bill was a vote with the Democrats. And those are all facts.
I always thought politics was local. Everybody seems to be wrapping themselves in the Trump flag during this election. Sure. Why?
Well, look, I mean, you're right. It is local, but in this election, we are running for Congress, and our vote is a national vote. So, yes, I mean, what I've always pledged is I'm the local guy. My vote and everything I do is going to be for our local community. But also going to Congress, we've got to make sure that we stand together, that we stand for conservative principles. While I will be focused on local issues, I'm going to have votes that matter for the entire country and therefore the entire world. So I do need to stand with, I think, our great leader, President Trump. I think he's done a fantastic job. Look, he's not the most polished guy. Even he said a week ago, sometimes he wakes up wishing he didn't send that tweet. I mean, he gets it, but he's been able to establish, I believe, very good policy. The two things I care about the most: public safety, national security, of course. Those are the same two things, our safety and our economy. And I think the president's done a fantastic job on that. The alternative, Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, it's hard to tell the difference anymore. The alternative is not an option. We need to get President Trump in there. So my campaign, I pledge to stand with him, make sure we get him elected in November, and make sure we're standing up against the socialist radical left.
So what are some of the things, some of the committees and some of the issues that you want to be involved with if you do get elected that you think that you would be good at?
So the whole reason I ran in 2012 was for fiscal conservatism. 2012, if we take a time machine back, we're coming out of the Great Recession here in Southwest Florida. We were hit particularly hard in real estate construction, foreclosure, capital of the world, next to Las Vegas. Tourism had taken a hit. So I'm living and working in the community as a real estate broker. And by the way, that's what I do full time. The legislature's part time. I'm a commercial real estate broker by trade. I'm living and working in the community, seeing family, neighbors, friends, everybody I grew up with struggling, and then seeing government running amok and spending more than they should, you name it. So I pledged to run for office and make a change. In the last 8 years, we cut taxes by $10 billion. We cut our debt by $8 billion. We put $4 billion in reserves. Those are things I'm proud of that I was able to have a hand in. And that's what I pledged to do in Congress as well. That is my first and foremost duty, is to try to find a way to finally balance our budget, quit these continuing resolutions of spending. But so you asked about committees. I would love to get on appropriations. I would love to get on energy and commerce, because that's where the regulatory environment is. I think we can cut back regulations, let the American people do what they do best, and spur job growth. Those are hard committees to get on as a freshman, but I will work for that. Another committee I'd love to get on is foreign affairs. I got to do a lot of great things in Tallahassee. One thing I never got to do is work on foreign affairs because the state of Florida isn't in that realm. But I did get to go to Taiwan last summer as a leader of a delegation. Taiwan is, of course, a freedom-loving democracy under the communist shadow of China. And it was amazing to see our footprint there, America's footprint across the world, to make sure that freedom is reigning true. And so foreign affairs, I think there's such a great ability to be on that committee and make sure that freedom is reigning across the world.
What are you?
Is that why you asked me about Taiwan last night? Because you know you went there?
Well, no, you also, there was a bill you sponsored, a sister.
Florida, we have sponsored a resolution that recognizes Florida as a sister state to Taiwan. Now, Taiwan is under China rules, so it's not a sovereign nation. However, they would love to become a sovereign nation. They all love America, just like Hong Kong. You see the protests and the riots happening, and they're waving the American flag, not the Chinese flag. That's how Taiwan feels. So, we have this island in the Asia Pacific where they love America. They would love to be able to continue to, trade with us, work with us, but China's standing in their way.
Let me just ask one more question. Speaking of China, because that's on, I said I took little pictures of your stuff. So one of the things you said is about holding China accountable. What is your plan?
So, look, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but you can't ignore the fact that Donald Trump, our president, started doing the trade tariffs, which I fully support. Look, if we're going to have any kind of trade agreements with anybody, it needs to be to the benefit of America. We need to have American product, American jobs first. It has not been that way. China has had the upper hand on us. We've been sending our jobs over there, and America's been hurting for that. So I support the president and what he's doing to try to bring our jobs back. Well, is it a coincidence that all of a sudden we have this virus coming out of China? Look, we don't know the answers, but I want to get the answers. And what I've called for is a trial led by America. We did it after Nazi Germany. We had the Nuremberg trials. Look, I'm not comparing this to the Holocaust, but we have had hundreds of thousands of deaths across the world because of this China virus. And I'm calling for the Wuhan trials. I think we need to put them on trial, get the answers. At worst, it was intent. At best, it's neglect. And even if it's neglect, we need to have answers for it. Our economy is in the tank. We're $26 trillion in debt. Our deficit this year, because of the CARES Act, is $3 to $4 trillion and growing. I believe China owes us for that. The CARES Act should not be in the back of taxpayer dollars. American. It needs to come from China. And those are things I pledge to fight for.
How much does a Florida legislative elected person get paid?
$29,000 a year.
Wow.
Some would think you're up there making good bucks. It's look, it's a servant's job. You go up there, you're up there 4 months out of the year, and that's what you're paid for. The rest of the time you have a job in the community. But I can even tell you, being a commercial real estate broker, but having a legislative job on the side where I'm in the community, still being a constituent representative, going to events, traveling, you name it, it's taking a hit on your income. And I'm not complaining. That's the career I chose, but I do it out of love of service, not for money.
Florida's legislature has to be different than so many other states because 4 months out of the year, most governments would like to be, in power
charge, right?
all the time.
We do three things right. The fourth is kind of a joke, but it's true. We do three things right in Florida. One is term limits. We got 8 years on term limits. It's a wonderful thing. And the reason I frankly was able to become majority leader was because there wasn't a guy that was there for 30 years. They were termed out. I got a chance to rise to the top. We have a balanced budget amendment. So we're making sure that we're not spending out more than we take in. And it's a part-time legislature. So everybody up there has another career. They cannot live, maybe you could, 30 grand a year, but it's difficult. You can't live on that. You need you need to be able to go home and live under the laws that you pass, something Congress doesn't do. The fourth thing is we're run by Republicans. And I firmly believe conservative values have made Florida great.
What is the difference, the number, Republican and Democrat?
73 Republicans, and I got to do the quick math, so 47 Democrats.
Okay. Imagine if Albany was like that.
Yeah.
Crazy. So the debates you said before the show started, you said there were 12 debates. I'm sorry to say I didn't see any of them. Where were they?
So there a lot of them were done through private groups, different Republican clubs. Some were on Zoom. One of them was done by ABC in person, and then they put it out on Zoom. Another was done by Week News on Zoom, and another was done by there's another. It all blends together, but there were a dozen, and it was hard to make it readily available to the public in person because of COVID, so they had to keep it limited. So they might have sold 50 tickets, but then they did the rest online. But there were 12 in total.
And has everybody showed up all the time?
No, absolutely not. I can admit I missed one because my son was born June 26th. No, he was due June 26th. Yes, June 26th.
You better get that right, man.
Exactly. He was due the 23rd. It's all a blur now. And he came on the 26th. On the 25th, we were in the hospital, and there was one I had to miss. So I made 11 of the 12. A lot of people did their best to be there. I mean, I could tell you that Casey Asgar, for one, made one. He came to one of 12. So that's kind of telling.
So the money thing in this race is astronomical. I mean, how do you keep up?
It's difficult. Look, again, I'm the grassroots guy. I've been raising dollars since I got in the race. It's the grueling thing to do and not a fun thing to do. I hate to call people and ask for money, but I've done that through the community and others around Florida primarily. I'm up against millions of dollars from guys out of Naples that are just spending their money, and good for them. That's democracy. That's what they want to do with their money. But again, not a lot of experience. And we've seen what's happened before when you elect someone who just buys ads, and that's based on polling. And then another individual who's funded by DC PACs by millions of dollars. So I estimate I've been outspent in this race by maybe 8-1. I've raised under $1 million, but we're still in the thick of it. And I think that's because of our grassroots leadership and our standing in the community. And I'm very proud of that.
Got it. So
No, go ahead.
I think, I mean, I've never seen anything. I haven't seen any. I don't have a TV, so I haven't seen any TV ads.
Right.
And
I don't either.
And,
I don't watch it anyways.
And have you seen Narcos yet?
No, my wife loves
gosh,
it. My wife loves
It's the greatest thing. And then I wound up buying a book of the two FBI agents that worked on
All
that
right,
case.
Pablito, get to your
I just
question.
love that. I brought that up last night, and Brandon looked at me like, "Why are you asking me that?"
Well, that's what. Yeah, my wife. If we find time, it's hard these days with the campaign and the baby, but we'll pop on a show on Netflix, and she loved that one. I didn't get a chance to watch.
I don't want to burst your bubble or anything, but they catch him.
I heard. She told me.
He
Well, I don't have a
doesn't
reason to
survive.
watch it. That's what I heard too. It's unfortunate. Too
So
bad.
it seems to me, and I'm just a onlooker. I don't know much. We have a piddly little radio show that it's really you and Byron.
It could be.
What's the difference between you and Byron?
What I offer that's different, and I'm not going to get into Byron, but what I offer that's different, again, is that grassroots leadership. I'm born and raised here. The whole reason I ran was to serve my community, and I proved that through that understanding of my allegiances to my constituents and fighting for them in Tallahassee and understanding the legislative process. I became the House Majority Leader in a short time by the age of 35 or 36. I've proven that I can go to Washington because I've done it in Tallahassee and I've got a proven voting track record, that I can go to Washington and you don't have to wonder what it is I'm going to be doing because I've already done it. You can look to my past and understand I'm going to be doing that. And furthermore, you can take your money to the bank that I'm going to be representing us for a little while. I believe in term limits, but we can't have 2 to 4 years. We need to have someone that's going to be there for the next eight years to the next decade, through the 2020s, the roaring 20s, let's hope. And I have pledged to be that person. I'm going to go up there. It's a sacrifice. Look, Congress is not sexy. It may seem like it, but I've got a 1-month-old. I've got a wife who has a career. There is sacrifice when you do that, but I understand what I'm getting into. I understand I'm going to be battling the swamp. I did that in Tallahassee. I never lost sight of what's important to me. Always stayed grounded. I can do that because I've already done it, and I think I'm the only one in the race that can offer that.
You hear a lot about the swamp. Like, how long does it take to clean it out? And who's in there? What's in there that needs to come out?
Well, Congress. Term limits. We need term limits 100%. And I think President Trump's done a great job. Again, for some people may not love him. He can be polarizing. I happen to be on the side of thinking he's doing a phenomenal job and pledging to drain the swamp. And in doing that, he's taken a lot of fire too. I mean, it's one thing after another. Russia, impeachment, blaming him for COVID, you name it. He, I think, is taking the broad end of the force because he has pledged to get up there and clean things out. Then you've got people like Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, who have been there longer than I've been alive. That is not right. How is it the fault of the guy that's been there for 3 going on 4 years when you got people that have been there for decades that haven't done anything to clean it up? So I think that shows exactly what the problem is. It's Congress. We need term limits.
Okay.
So President Trump, it seems like it's closer than it should be.
Sure.
Do you think it's going to be close?
I think it will always be close. I don't know the last time we haven't had a presidential race that wasn't close, but I also don't believe the polling because look what happened in 2016.
Right.
We all ended the night thinking, polls show Hillary's going to win. Unfortunately, I was up till 3 a.m. watching the actual decision of Trump winning. It was one of the most adrenaline pumping nights I've remembered in a long time because of the comeback. I think that we could see something similar. I'm not banking on that. I don't want people to rest on their laurels thinking, oh no, he's going to win again. It's going to take hard work. We got to get the vote out. But I'm knocking on doors nonstop and going down the streets. You'll see someone with the Trump flag who's proudly supporting him. And then I'll knock on a door, one street over and they say, how do you feel about the president? I say, I support him. And they say, me too, but almost as a whisper.
Yeah.
It's like they don't want their neighbors to know, but they are going to be voting for him.
Yeah. Silent majority out there.
Agreed. I really think it's true.
So what's it going to take for you in the next few days? What do you have to do? And what do you want the people on the beach to know about you so that they can go in and pull the
thank you. It's
lever?
going to take hard work. I can promise you I am from dusk till dawn out knocking on doors, talking to voters at this point, going directly to them, making sure they understand what I'm all about. There's a lot of, if you're getting the mail or watching TV, it's horrible. I mean, it's awful. My wife, every time I come home, holds a mailer and says, honey, I can't vote for you if this is true. I tell her I can't vote for me either if that's true. It's not all true. It's a shame. So if you've got questions, if you're undecided, or if you're on the fence, I would really appreciate the consideration. You go to DaneEagle.com. In fact, you can email me at Dane@DaneEagle.com, and I will respond directly. It might be at 2 a.m. when I'm putting my son back to bed, but I will find time to get back to you because I am a constituent services representative first and foremost, and I am asking for your vote. I'll be sweating all day long trying to earn it, and I'm hopeful for a good night on Tuesday.
So is there something that these people are attacking you on that you would like to address?
Sure. Well, the main thing I think is the Second Amendment one, and I explained that outright. My Second Amendment record is President Trump's Second Amendment record. So I stand with him on that. I'm proud of what we did by arming teachers and supporting conservative values, supporting Governor Scott, President Trump. I think I cleared the air on that. They're also attacking me on illegal immigration votes, which are just outright untrue. It's like they're taking something from over here and trying to say it's this over there. And I've got all the votes and the evidence to disprove that as well. I think the most comical one, and I do have an ad out there that starts with that, is they're saying I support Mitt Romney. I took a picture with him in 2012 when he was here in Southwest Florida running against Barack Obama. Hell yeah, I supported him in 2012.
Sure.
Haven't seen the guy since then, and I don't like what he's doing now. He stabbed our president in the back after the president endorsed him. But I think it's very telling what the opposition is doing, and this is funded by millionaires out of Naples. And no offense to millionaires in Naples, they're good people, but Swamp Tactics out of Washington saying, "Hey, this guy supports Mitt Romney" 8 years ago. So that's just telling how divisive, how far they're trying to stretch the truth in these attack ads.
I don't want to sound like a crybaby about the way politics is run, but the money thing, it seems like it. Because when you say it's not really fair, well, politics isn't fair.
No,
but
it's not.
Is it rigged or is it?
It's
can
not
it be
rigged.
fixed?
It can be fixed. Look, again, I think term limits, and I keep going back to that, but I think that is the root of all problems right now. I think that we need good people that can get in there, get fresh ideas, fresh faces. The Florida legislature, you've got people as young as 22, 23 years old to as old as 80. All walks of life. You look at the last names, it's like the litmus test for America. I mean, everybody. And that's because of term limits. You don't get one person in there that's been there for 30 years. So I think that is crucial. Money is always going to be in politics. That's a First Amendment right. But I think the way to outwork the money is outwork it. Get out there and knock on doors. Let's see what happens on Tuesday. But the fact that I am in the thick of this race, at least in the lead within the margin of error, and not spending the kind of dollars that are spent against me is telling that hard work can do more than money.
This may sound stupid to a lot of people and probably most people.
Wait for it.
I don't think you should be allowed to run a campaign and just put in your own money. You should have to ask for donations like everybody else. You should have to go out and knock on doors and have the doors slammed in your face, and you shouldn't be allowed to.
Well, I mean, I think there's that, but then I think there's also, there's a lot of money that comes out of PACs.
Oh, here we go again.
I know.
She's been trying to dig into these PACs for the longest time. It's impossible to find out where
that PAC gave to this PAC to that PAC.
That's
it's hard
right.
to follow the trail.
That's not right. That's not right there.
How do we? I think that's what's hard too. Yeah. You can't.
Well, and that started in 2010. I think it was called the Citizens United. Supreme Court ruled that it's a First Amendment right for corporations to be able to have super PACs. So, and I support that. Look, I'm a constitutional conservative, and I believe in First Amendment rights. But I think we have seen how dirty that can get, and there isn't necessarily the right answer to correct it, other than just be honest and true, be a hard worker. I think my local support shows that I am that honest, true, hard worker.
And I think people, as they're researching people, they have, the information is out there.
Right.
You can at least see, you don't have to take a deep dive like I did, but you can go through each candidate.
You can.
It's
one of the funniest
secrets.
things, I'm getting the mailer talking about my vote for in-state tuition for illegal immigrants, and I'm sending people the vote sheet to show no, I didn't. And then someone pointed out I never met online said, look at VoteSmart. VoteSmart is independent, and they show the voting record. Shows clearly right there that I voted against it. So if someone does their research, they could easily find the true answer.
Congress has a lower rating than Joe Biden or
Yeah,
Nancy
you're
Pelosi.
right.
I mean,
You're right.
they're despised by the American public. How do you? Why do you? First of all, why do you want to be part of that cabal?
What you'll find with that, you're right. Congress as a whole has a low rating, but if you pull the individual congressman of that area, they tend to love their congressman. So that's kind of how that works. I think every individual might go up there with the best intention and their voters love them, but then when you combine them as a whole, it's dysfunctional. I think that is part of the swamp tactics. It probably has a lot to do with money, lobby, bureaucracy, just the history of how things have kind of built up, and it will take time to tear that down. I keep going back to term limits, but I believe that is what's needed to save our nation, that and a balanced budget.
Where will you be today, tomorrow, Monday? And
Today, tomorrow, Monday, I'll be knocking on doors nonstop. Literally the minute I can. I try not to go to people's doors before 10 a.m. Sometimes I do, and they're in their pajamas, so I try to respect, but then I'll go until it's either raining or the sun goes down. And then Tuesday night, I'm going to do something small with our family. Look, we're very hopeful, we're optimistic. We're also realistic. This could go one of two, maybe four ways. So I'm going to spend that time with my in-laws and my family and my son. And then let's hope for a big victory party on November 3rd.
So if you win on Tuesday, will you have to call all other 18 people? And
my hope would be they'd call me, right? If you win, you get to have them call you. If I am not fortunate to win, I will be calling the victor and
Nice.
telling him
Cool.
he'll have my support.
All right, Dane, thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate you coming all the way to the beach, and good luck on Tuesday, and we hope to talk to you after that.
Thank you all very much.
Thanks a lot. Dane Eagle, everybody, running for the 19th Congressional District, and check him out at daneeagle.com, right? Is that the website address? And also on Facebook, and he's in his 30s, so he's on everything. He's probably on TikTok too. No, he's not on TikTok. That's a Chinese company. Sorry about that. All right, folks, before we get to our next guest, let me tell you a little bit about some of our sponsors. And by the way, I know some of you are tuning in for the possibility that this might come up. Well, you're going to have to wait until the end of the show before this comes up, the email from Tracy Gore. So you'll have to wait until a little bit later on to see what happens with that email. That'll be at the end of the show when the wife and I get to chat a little bit about things, including her birthday from last week. But I did want to make sure I told you about the Fort Myers Tiki Tours, one of our greatest sponsors. They're open for business. They're featuring social distancing cruises, private boats for up to 4 people for $119.99. They have great captains. They really chat it up with you, and they have a great time. And you bring your own drinks. It's a captain. It's a real captain. We don't just call him captain because he's on the boat. He's a captain. He's got the paperwork and the whole thing. He's got the thing on the wall behind him where it says, "I'm a captain. I'm a real captain." And they have all the required safety equipment. The tours are 90 minutes long, which is perfect. We went out, I think, on Father's Day at like 11 o'clock and had a couple of drinks and brought our daughter, and we saw the fairy pod mother out there with the dolphins. I don't know how she gets the dolphins to follow her when she's out in the canoe out there, but they follow her all around the place. And there she was in the canoe with the dolphins, and we were on the tiki thing. You can call now to make your reservations, 239-887-0042, 239-887-0042. Also, Island Oils. IslandOilsLLC.com. If you have bugs in your backyard when you're sitting around and you're drinking the tequila or you're drinking the beer or whatever the hell it is that you drink in your backyard, and the bugs are coming out because you don't have a lanai, or you do have a lanai and it's got holes in it like ours does, you want to spray yourself with this fabulous bug repellent that we have in the backyard. I used to burn that crappy smelling whatchamacallit stuff, the citronella, and it got her all pissy. So she went in the house, and so we got this nice smelling stuff that she sprays in my eyes like mace, and I don't know why she does that, but it's all natural. And we want you to go on there right now and order some. IslandOilsLLC.com. They have the spray, they have the roll-on. I think they even have like hashish with it in there or something. No, they don't have the hashish. That's something different. A different day for a different sponsor. It's 100% oil. It absorbs well, and it's a nice moisturizer too. And that's what I like about it the most, is the moisturizing effect that it has on my skin, especially around my belly. I rub it around my belly because then it moisturizes my skin and tightens up my skin, because my skin hangs over my skin hangs over my thong when we're hanging out in the backyard. It's safe for children 6 months and older, and it's DEET free. I have no idea what that means, but I'm sure it means something good.
Dangerous chemical.
DEET? Is that in like Roundup? DEET?
It
Could
might be in Roundup,
Yeah.
but it's in the other brands.
All
that we
right.
won't mention.
IslandOilsLLC.com. And again, if you stay tuned until the final portion of the show, we're going to talk about the Tracy Gore email. We're also going to tell you about our brand new sponsors, Vacation Home here on the island, that we have some video for. So we don't want to make Eddie wait too much longer because we know he's got more important things to do than hang out with us on our piddly little project here that we're doing on the beach. Ladies and gentlemen, back for his third appearance on the show. I think it's your third, right? Third or fourth?
Third? I think it's
It's been third, but you're gonna have to, if you want people to hear you, you're gonna have to bring the microphone
Oh,
up.
I'm sorry. No,
There
I
you
think
go.
it's the second time. I was on the show a couple of weeks before the November council meeting last fall. Is that right?
It's
I
the
think-
third time
well,
because we
you
did
were
it once
on
remotely.
with
Oh,
with-
I did
yeah,
one.
yeah.
You're right. I did one. You're correct.
He said I was
You know-
right.
You know, I'm old.
I hear you.
I don't remember.
You
things.
are old.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
So, Eddie, the first thing is tell everybody where you live. Not exactly, but
No, I
where-
don't mind telling them where I live. I live,
It's-
I live at
it's-
8150 Estero Boulevard. I mean, it's all
public. Yeah.
it's all been out there, and the few people that are interested in that, they're all aware of where I live. You know.
Okay, so for a little bit of history here, there's been an issue with your house and the backyard and access to the beach and a dune walkover or a boardwalk, or everybody's got their own name for it, depending
Right.
on which side of the issue that they're on. And it's you needed a special exception from the town council to get this dune walkover or boardwalk or ramp built. Dear, I'm going to give people the history because what the hell else
You're
are we going
not
to do
giving
today?
them the history. You're just
All right. Elaborating, giving them the
10
details. And
definitions
you're
of what it
interrupting me,
is.
so
Go
you're
ahead.
just making it longer.
Go ahead.
And it was denied by the town council after it was unanimously approved by the local planning agency, of which there are two town council members, current town council members, were on.
That's correct.
So that's a brief history, and you're still going through that. How long has it been going on now? Since the 80s?
It's been going on for almost 4 years. It'll be 4 years this coming December.
4 years. And how much money you have dumped into this project?
You know, it's a lot, Ed. I'd rather not disclose.
I didn't
the
think you were
exact
gonna, but
amount.
I have to ask
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the voters want to know.
Right. It's a lot. It's more than the town spent. How's that?
Okay, so we're at the stage now where you filed a claim before a lawsuit kicks in, a Bert Harris lawsuit. And I'm not going to go into the Bert Harris explanation, everybody. You can Google what that is. I mean, but it is that's the phase we're in now. And in addition to you filing a claim, you also made an offer to the town. I think it was. Well, I'll let you explain. Explain what the offer was.
Well, it does require a slight amount of background. The brief and short of it on a Bert Harris is a town has the right to enforce an ordinance as long as their ordinance is illegally, as long as the ordinance it was formed legally or approved legally. They have every right in the world to enforce an ordinance, and the ordinances are there obviously for reasons of protecting certain things and organizing the town in a certain manner and those things. Okay, but under the Bert J. Harris Act, in the mid-90s, it was decided that if the town has the right to enforce this ordinance and it unduly causes financial damage to a property owner's property, the property owner can seek the damages of the town enforcing that ordinance. Okay, so they're well within their rights to enforce the ordinance. We're not arguing that. We don't think that the ordinance is just. We don't think that we should have ever been placed under that ordinance because we have a dune walkover, and according to their ordinance, dune walkovers are entitled by right. They don't require a special exception. Okay, but that's where the big controversy is coming in. So we agreed, Kurt and I agreed to go through the special exception process.
Kurt Cromer is your next door neighbor.
Kurt Kramer is my next door neighbor. This is a joint walkover that we organized and put together in order to be able to build this, and then we've agreed to offer to make some type of agreements with 7 other property owners in our neighborhood.
Okay, you're jumping ahead now. I did want to back
Okay.
up a little bit. Over time, you say you had beach access at some point, or the house, the homeowner, there was beach access. That's what you say.
And you had beach access through
The
your
neighbor's
neighbor's yard
Right.
because of where the mean high tide line was.
That
That was public or easement property that you guys could access.
That is correct. Y'all have heard all of the armchair lawyers, and they're saying, well, they never had any access, and they're seeking something they didn't have. They're trying to increase their property values and all that. Let me explain something. The reason why my property values were where they are when Kurt and I bought our homes is we bought them at the very bottom of the economic catastrophe that caused the housing prices to be low.
Okay, what does that have to do with
Whenever
anything?
we've heard all these rumors about they bought this property at this price, and now it's worth, if they can get beach access, it's worth this price, and all we're trying to do is make a profit. All right. And that has nothing to do with anything. It's a bunch of senseless rhetoric. Okay. We had direct access to the beach, legal dry ground direct access to the beach. And we can prove that. The ironic part about a Bert Harris, let me just
wait. Before I don't want to jump to the Bert Harris yet,
Okay.
because there's also
Right.
another issue to this. There's a critical wildlife area close to where you're proposing this, and that brought in some people that didn't want it built because of the critical wildlife situation with birds and whatever the hell else flies around and swims around in a critical wildlife area, right? That's part of it too. It kind of moved. You showed us the maps over time, and it really did over time with the weather and the hurricanes, and kind of drift up the beach a long way.
Right,
And it's squatting right in your backyard now.
Right. And the part about that is what we want to explain. And I can make a brief explanation there also. Yes, it is close to the critical wildlife area, but it is not in the critical wildlife area. And then we went to court. The town sued us. The town filed many lawsuits against Kurt and I, which I might add, they lost every one of the lawsuits they filed against us. But in one of the lawsuits, the judge determined that although wildlife may not recognize boundaries, laws do. And the boundaries are set up for a reason. And if you're outside the boundary, you're outside the boundary, whether it's 10 feet or 10 miles. Okay. And I'll give you a quick explanation of that. You own a piece of property in Gateway. You have a neighbor, I'm assuming, on each side of you. You probably have a fence on the border of your property. Okay. If you want to build something just inside your fence, if you want to walk just inside your fence, can your neighbor tell you you're too close to his property? You can't do this because you're too close to my property. No, they can't. You're entitled to do whatever the legal law allows you to do inside the boundary of your property, which is outside their boundary.
Okay, but just to be clear, the 4 lawsuits that you won really don't have anything to do with the Bert Harris. They're not relevant. They won't come up. It's a completely different thing.
They are different. There will be points that were made in all the 4 lawsuits, different points that will be brought into the Bert Harris to show the unjustification of them, of what they're doing, and how it has devalued our property.
So let's back up for 1 second. You said you had direct access on the sand or the dry land to the beach.
Right.
Was it from your house or was it from your neighbor's house?
Let me explain this.
Thank you.
The mean high water line was at the rear of all of these 9 homes.
Right.
And all 9 homes traversed this mean high water line in order to get to the beach. The mean high water line has its own public easement. The public is allowed to transverse along the mean high water line.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And no property owner can stop them.
Right.
It's a given right. Okay. Under Florida statute and federal statute. Okay. When we bought our properties, we used that public access along the mean high water line that went around that water feature in our backyard.
Water feature. Well, I've never heard it called that before. But
it's not a lagoon. It's not connected to the Gulf.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
It's simply a water feature or a pond. Or
are there birds in it?
Does it have birds?
You're going to get off topic. Let him finish.
Yeah. Anyway, and so I'm sorry. Anyway, after we purchased my property in 2011, Kurt purchased his property in 2012. The neighborhood, all the neighborhoods are using this for access. We're satisfied. We're happy. It's a close walk. It's not that far of a walk. Okay. The mean high water line is reevaluated every so many years. And the mean high water line was reevaluated, and it was found that this water feature was no longer connected to the Gulf. Therefore, it was no longer navigable waters and not sovereign Florida property. And so they couldn't keep the mean high water line there. So they had to relocate the mean high water line out where it has to be by their own specifications. When that happened, one of the property owners to the left of my property, we were still using that, but he objected. He didn't want anybody walking across the back of his property. He knew what the law was. He knew that the mean high water line was no longer there anymore. And so he blocked it off, put up a fence.
Okay.
While you're doing that, I just want to reiterate that the line was really close to the back of y'all's house, and then it moved away.
The line was
way out.
Right.
To the waterward.
Okay. I don't know.
No, nobody can see that, but we'll try and copy it and post it. So
your neighbor
we
built
put up a private property song. Or
Yeah.
song. Sorry, not a song.
Orange construction fence and a no trespassing sign. Okay.
So that cut off your access.
I questioned that. I questioned the validity of that. Okay. And come to find out, after I spoke to the attorneys, they were well within their rights to do that because the mean high water line was not legally there anymore.
Gotcha.
All right. Now, one thing I want to point out too, the mean high water line is an arbitrary line. It's not necessarily along the edge of the water. So you don't have to walk in the water to use the public access along the mean high water line. There is an area of dry sand that is considered the area where the public can use.
So, okay. So the other thing I wanted to make sure people knew before we get to the town's part and all this, when they moved the high water line out, it went on the other side of the water feature, like completely on the other side of the critical wildlife area, everything out there now. And from my understanding is that all those homeowners, I could be wrong, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, or she will. All the homeowners now own from their house to the high tide water line.
We have here's the difference. Not all of them. And here's the properties that are in the Grand Old Man subdivision. I don't know about anywhere else on the island. And I'm told that it is a very, very unique deed that was never caught, contested, or argued about. But when the Grand Old Man subdivision was platted and formed before they started developing it, there was a very unique clause in the deeds of those properties. And in the deed, in my deed and in Kurt's deed, it says the rearward portion of the property extends to the waters of the Gulf of Mexico.
Okay.
And that is a legal, filed in Tallahassee in Florida lands document.
Okay, so now we're to the part where you had kind of been going back and forth with the town, and you tried a second time to get it approved, and you had to have new information. The council members didn't believe you had new information to come before them in a second hearing, and kind of shot you down, and you guys had to move on to whatever the next thing is. New council comes in, and now I think we're at the part where you have to decide if you want to just let it go or file a Bert Harris. They don't really need to do anything because, they denied your special exception. Was last week or the week before you filed a claim, which also included an offer to make this, to get your dune walkover and to provide them with something. But what's hanging here is that we know there's two people on the council, Rexanne and Bill Veach, probably will never vote for it. That's just you could tell from their position on the council, they're not going to. Ray, the mayor, wants it. He wants it gone. He doesn't want the taxpayers to possibly lose a lot of money in this, and we'll get to that. And Dan Allers, I also believe, will vote for you. And Jim is kind of unsure at this point. And I think part of it is your claim is that you will make the critical wildlife area go away. It's kind of like a scare tactic, and I'm going to do this if you don't approve this. Is that fair?
Well,
Or accurate?
It depends on which side of this you're on. You see, perception is everything. Okay. So if you're opposed, then it appears to be a threat because it makes the other party look bad. Okay. If you're in favor and you read the meat of it, it's not a threat at all. We never intended it to be a threat. Kurt and I are businessmen. Okay. Businessmen don't make threats. Threats get you nowhere. Threats make enemies. It makes matters even worse. Okay. We wanted everyone to know what the facts are. I'm a businessman. I deal in facts. If I have opposition, I want to know what the facts are so that I can deal with the facts and try to come up with something that will work for both people.
But you never you've never really shown anyone the proof that you could take ownership of the critical wildlife area. How do we know that's true?
Okay. The reason, and I did bring something where I can show you that we can take it. Okay. And we'll get into that in a second. But it's not a question of who knows what's true. Okay. Let me just bring up a couple of points that the public needs to know these things. So the media, the regular media, the printed media is not telling them what we have told them and what they know is going on. And one of the reasons why I appreciate you and Kim's show, and I appreciate coming here, is because you ask these questions and you don't mind hearing the other side of the story. Okay. So the ownership of the land, the ownership of the property that was brought up in the letter that you read that we sent to the council persons the 1st of June. If you'll notice, Dan Ayler said, I don't consider it a threat. Rexanne says they're threatening us. You know, the critical wildlife area shouldn't be a part of the negotiations. Okay. It depends on where you are in that, what side you're looking at. It's not a threat. We wanted them to know. We have went to great lengths to keep from doing this. We don't want to do it. We love it. We love the area. We love it just like it is. We don't want to change anything. We don't want to contest the ownership. We don't need it. We don't need the sand. What are we going to do with it? Okay, we don't want it. We just want to get to the beach is all. Us and our neighbors, the nine homes in the neighborhood, we just want to get to the beach. Okay, so, but we will not stop. We will not stop.
Okay.
And the worst thing that you can do is to keep on until you back someone into a corner and they feel as though they have to do anything they have to do in order to get out of the corner.
So
are you saying you feel threatened? Like you feel kind of backed into a corner?
They have backed us into a corner to the point that we're going to use whatever we need to use to get out of the corner. And now I want to make this clear. This is not a threat. There is still no threat here. These are facts.
Okay, so what you're saying is if you don't get the special exception, you will take ownership of the critical wildlife area and build your dune walkover. Is that what I'm hearing?
That is correct.
Okay, so now we're at where you made an offer. If you give me the dune walkover, I'll give you $100,000 to help with restrooms, which they needed. They couldn't. The TDC money, is it the same thing with the TDC money? And to try and kind of stop it from going to a Bert Harris lawsuit, which we'll get to in the finale.
I want to clarify one thing about the land ownership issue.
Okay.
That document is ready to file. That has been ready to file for several weeks. We included the first page of the lawsuit that's ready to file into a document that we shared with the council in the beginning of June. Okay. These are documents that are ready. And so I wanted to make that one clarification. Okay. This is not a threat. We never intended to make a threat.
All right.
We have known this since the beginning.
Okay, so get on. Why did you offer him $100,000?
Well, I'm going to tell you. All right. Kurt and I discussed it, and we realized that there was the town applies for different grants for things. Mm-hmm. They had applied for a grant for the through the Community Development Council, and it's my understanding they do it every year, and it gets granted pretty much every year. I think it gets granted every year. Okay, well this year, due to COVID and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm a little bit out of school here. I'm not involved in town politics, but I think that the money for the grant they requested comes from the bed tax that's charged the hotels and motels.
Like a tourism tax or something, right?
Yeah, and so obviously you didn't have any in the second quarter. There was none.
Right.
Okay, so the county turned the grant down. So Kurt and I discussed it, and we thought that it would be a nice gesture, an olive branch, so to speak, that we would offer if we could just settle this and each go our own ways and be done with it, rather than to continue these hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of litigation that we're facing right around the corner. We thought that we would make a benevolent gesture to offer this money to replace the money that was turned down by the grant that they had applied for. Let there be no mistake. Kurt and I didn't offer this in a position of weakness. We offered this as an olive branch to try to soothe the hard feelings that have been caused by this.
What do you say to the people that think it's a bribe?
Why if it is public, it's money the town lost, didn't get. We can donate the money.
Mm-hmm.
It's perception. If you're against the walkover, it's a bribe. If you're for the walkover, then it's a gift.
Olive branch, yeah.
Okay. And so the purpose of it was to an olive branch to the town to try to soothe emotions and try to come up with something that would give them the ability to say, okay, we can do this or we can do this. And if we do this, the litigation is over and we have the money that we got turned down on the grant.
Now that they have, correct me if I'm wrong, they have 150 days to respond, but you kind of asked in there for a response sooner than that.
I did, and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
First off, one subject I want to touch on, we consulted with our attorneys before we made this offer.
Okay.
And
well, I would hope so.
And they were kicking and screaming.
Because it looks like a bribe?
No,
Oh.
because we don't need to.
Okay.
They said,
Oh,
why would
all
you
right.
give them $105,000 when you don't need to?
Yeah.
Because you're going to win anyway.
All right. Well, let's.
All right.
Did you get your question answered? I don't want to
Yeah.
jump
No.
ahead.
Okay.
All right.
Go ahead.
Anyway, so ask me again.
100. So they
The
have
105, right. Okay. Well, they don't have 150 days anymore. They got about 125
Right.
days.
Right.
Okay. But here's the deal. Our attorneys want us to file the quiet title and have that settled, attempt to have it settled before we file the Harris Act in the 125 days, because it doesn't, if the Harris Act is not finalized and we haven't proven ownership, it doesn't really affect our Harris claim. But if we do own it and we have one, it bolsters our Harris
All right.
claim.
So everybody knows the quiet, what'd you call it?
The quiet title suit will be followed the week at Monday, depending on what they do Monday. And then there
It
again,
is on the
everyone
agenda
that's
This
Monday.
listening,
Monday.
Yeah, it's
Right.
on the agenda
Okay.
Monday.
there again, everyone that's listening to me, this is not a threat. It is not intended as any type form of a threat. These are the facts. And you can't make accurate decisions unless you know what the facts are. And the fact of the matter is that they're going to make a decision Monday whether to accept this offer or turn this offer down. And if they turn it down, the following week we will be filing the quiet title.
Well, let's explain what a quiet title is. That you say will prove that you now own the critical wildlife area.
The critical
Okay.
wildlife area will be taken over.
Wait. Before you say that, a judge could decide that piece of paper is nothing.
Well, they can, yeah. But here's the thing: we have documents, internal documents, from state documents. Internal. Let me rephrase that. We have internal state documents where there have been memos sent between state departments
Gotcha.
that admit that they can't defend the ownership of the land,
Gotcha.
and that if it's challenged, they'll lose.
No more paperwork. You can't see the paperwork. Let me ask you this, Eddie. While you're fishing around in your bag there for your next
Here's a
rabbit.
letter. Here's a letter. Here's an email from the environmental officer at the time. She no longer works here. Here's an email from the environmental officer that worked for the town of Fort Myers Beach.
What's it say?
She's quoting a telephone conversation that she had with DEP.
Mhm.
And she's emailing it to her then boss, Kara Stewart, to make her boss aware of what the DEP said. All right. And their letterhead.
You have no hair, man.
Yeah.
What happened to your hair?
Well, he got it trimmed.
Yeah. Put that hat back on.
Anyway, you're not.
I know. I got no hair either.
We got nice haircuts. Okay. This right here, you can see on the letterhead, and I'm going to give you a copy of this.
All right.
You can see on the letterhead.
Nobody can hear you.
Ray Blake, Ray Blake, to Kara Stewart. Okay. And the conversations with the DEP about personal boardwalk. That's the subject matter. All right. The highlighted area right here. I spoke to the DEP, and I'm gonna just condense it. I spoke to the
Well,
DEP.
good, because it's a long one.
All right. I spoke to the DEP about the request about the dune walkover on the south end of the island. All right, here's a response. Due to the fact that the Little Estero CWA was set aside as state lands without approval of any of the homeowners. So if the CWA area was disputed in court, the most likely outcome is the CWA would be dissolved and the state would lose the ownership of that area.
All
Okay,
right.
now, all right, on the bottom right here, this is key. Due to the finding that the lands are regarded as private lands.
Gotcha. All right. Well, you
Okay.
should have some evidence there.
Right.
So,
I'm sharing
So
this.
all of that will go, if it doesn't go the way you want on Monday, all of this will go.
I don't think there's going to be a vote Monday.
This is evidence.
Maybe there will.
Okay.
Right.
I'm
Well-
sharing this evidence. I'm sharing this evidence because this is a town document. Anyone can get this.
Mhm.
The documents that I have, all the interoffice memos and all the emails between DEP officials, I'm not sharing those.
Gotcha.
All right. And the reason why I'm not is because Councilperson Hasselfrost made the comment on the June public meeting that the CWA or the ownership shouldn't be a part of the negotiations because if we don't do it, any homeowner can. And I want to clarify that. No other homeowner can do it. Because when you file a lawsuit and make a claim, you have to have evidence to back up that claim. None of the other homeowners have the documentation that we have under lock and key. And so they would not have any case.
Well, they
to be
could
able-
get it, but they probably don't have the kind of money you have to go
then-
fishing
and
for
they
it.
don't know where to find it.
Yeah.
Kurt and I found all the information
All
accidentally.
right. Let me get
All right.
back
Okay.
here to got to remember where I was going now. Okay. So the reason why I think you are at 2-2 and somebody not sure is because the town attorney thinks they have a good case and you think the town attorney is jerking the town around for money.
Well, let me ask you a question, Ed. If you're an attorney and you're in the business of being an attorney and you're a partner in a law firm and the law firm's purpose is to make money. Okay, you got a client, you got two people that are adamantly against something and you have their support. As long as you had their support, regardless of what you really thought, you would pursue it because it's going to line his and his firm's pockets. And let me give you an example. All right. The town of Bonita Springs just got through going through this, and the town council right now is approving over $10 million in Bert Harris claims because they have an attorney that is a contract attorney, just like the town of Fort Myers Beach attorney. He doesn't live there. He doesn't own property there. And if he loses his job, most likely he won't ever come back there. Okay. So he tells Bonita Springs that they have a good case on both of these Bert Harrises and takes them all the way to the end and then settles them out of court.
Well, you made a hefty claim right there that
Okay,
John
so-
isn't really working in the interests of the council or the taxpayers here.
I do not believe he is. He's working in his own interest and his firm's interest. And why wouldn't he? Okay. I'm not naive. I had this same conversation with my attorneys and I accuse them of doing the same thing. Our attorneys are milking us because that's what attorneys do. That's how they make money.
Okay.
So one more point.
All right.
They, at the last minute, the town attorney, the contracted town attorney for the town of Bonita Springs recommended to the council that they go ahead and settle the Harris lawsuits. It was noted in the article that the firm had made, I think it said, the firm itself had made over $600,000 defending the
It's also important to note that John Herron, the town attorney, does not work for that firm in Bonita that you're talking about. And he's also a contracted attorney from the town. And I believe if this goes to a Bert Harris lawsuit, they will have to hire outside counsel. So I wonder if that argument really floats.
Well, the outside counsel is going to tell them they probably got a good case too. Bonita hired outside counsel.
But then your argument that John's doing it for his own pocket doesn't work.
Well, no, he gets paid all along.
Right, he's going to get paid what the town pays him.
Right, but no, he's going to pay. He's got a contract with the town for normal types of services. Anything that's outside of that, and this is
I see what you're saying.
This I don't know their exact agreement, but this is typical. Okay, things that are above and beyond whatever the normal courses of the business are, him and his firm charge whatever their hourly rate is.
So this, to move on past that, this could go to Bert Harris, and there still could be mediation or negotiation in through the Bert Harris thing.
We have approximately 125 days left. It's the same type of mediation, but here's the difference. You saw the emails, and you saw how derelict the town attorney was in responding to the special magistrate. The special magistrate was a voluntary process that Kurt and I entered into to try to resolve this. There are timelines. The town attorney never met any of the timelines. He ignored them. At times, our attorneys couldn't even get him to response. He comes back and he says, oh, it was because of COVID. COVID didn't even start till mid-March. We filed the Fluidra the last of December, which requires his response in 15 days. He should have had his response to the Fluidra by the middle of January, when COVID wasn't even known about. And he didn't make that deadline. And
just to be fair, and I did not talk directly to Mr. Herron, other people that I talked to about that, a lot of it they say had to do with COVID and meeting deadlines and things like that. So, well,
it's funny, Kurt, it didn't interrupt all the meetings and all went on.
There was
about the margarita thing. They did it by Zoom.
There was that.
And
so let's get to the Bert Harris, Eddie. So people understand what could possibly happen. What could possibly happen is the town could win a Bert Harris lawsuit, and you wouldn't get your dune walkover. Let's leave the critical wildlife part of it out of it because it confuses things. And if they win, one of the options is that you don't get your dune walkover, but then they might have to pay the difference in the assessment of your house with and without beach access, which could be between you and Kurt in the millions of dollars. And then they might have to also pay your legal fees. So I don't care one way or the other about the dune walkover. I don't take it personally or anything. I'll just never be invited to a house like that. It's so big and nice and expensive. But so we don't have an opinion on that. My concern was always that it could cost the town taxpayers, without them even knowing, a huge amount of money.
I want to point something out. All right. I know that I don't know anything. I could kind of tell by reading your Facebook and whatnot. You don't have a great love for the mayor. Okay. That's fine. All right. But I want to tell you something about this mayor that we have right now. This mayor that we have right now is a previous developer. He understands Florida land use laws. He understands private property rights. He sees what's coming. He knows what's coming. And then let me explain something else, something that he's done that I don't think any other council person has done. And this is why he's the mayor. He has the experience. They appointed him mayor because they believed that he had the experience. Let me tell you something the mayor has done that I don't think any of the other council members have done. The mayor has consulted with outside counsel besides the town attorney. And the outside counsel has a little different opinion than the town attorney has. And the mayor has taken that into account. All right. The mayor said the same thing you did. I visited with the mayor and he said, you know what, Ed, I don't care about your walkover. He said, I care about what might happen to this town. I love this town. That's why I got back involved in the town politics. I saw that there were problems that needed to be corrected. And I saw things that I thought that I could resolve. And he said that the exposure and the liability that the town is willing to take on to stop this piece of crap walkover that you've got down here that you and your Kurt want that actually benefit a neighborhood. We've already been to court on 4 lawsuits. The town has lost all 4 lawsuits.
Okay.
How is the town figuring that they're going to win the next ones? You know, the mayor is doing what the mayor just did. The mayor practically single-handedly negotiated.
That's not true. That's not true.
Well,
he was part of it. So
okay.
let's get off that ladder
he
for a minute,
knows-
okay?
whatever.
And just to correct, I don't have a dislike for Ray. There's some
Okay.
things I didn't. Not that it matters what I think. I don't even live on the beach, but there's some things I disagree with. But I like Ray. We used to be friends, and so just to clarify that, there's a
Okay.
couple of things that came up.
Yeah, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. But the bottom line is Ray negotiated that deal.
He didn't
applied the
negotiate it
pressure.
alone.
No, I'm not saying he did it alone, but
Okay.
he was the one that represented the town.
Yeah.
He was the one that spoke to him. He's the one that
You're
knew
talking
those
about
people.
the
Yeah, I don't
kind
know
of the
who those
errors.
people
Jackie
are.
was involved too. There were other
Okay.
people that were involved. So
okay.
I mean, there are other points of view on the council, Eddie,
Okay.
and you know. So
But here's
just to
the
be
thing.
clear,
But here's the thing. He's in favor of not pursuing this walkover
Right.
because he sees what the possibilities and the expense of the town. All right. Dan Ehlers also sees it,
Right.
and he doesn't want it either.
Okay,
So Ray is not single-handedly trying to keep the town out of all these lawsuits from the walkover. Dan Ehlers has joined him.
but you can't discount Rexanne's and Bill's point of view either. They feel strongly that they have a case.
What is their? Let me ask you a question. Why wouldn't they? They're against the walkover. It's perspective. That's their point of view. They're
So
gonna
their
take a side.
perspective, but Ray's correct. Theirs is
Here's-
perspective, but
here's
Ray's
the-
correct.
Here's the difference. Ray has spoken with council outside of the town council, all right, that has no dog in the hunt, that's not getting paid anything, that is not going to get paid anything to get a legal opinion that's different than the legal opinion that's being promoted by the town attorney. Okay, so you say, well, where's the differences? How come they're right and how come they're right and this and that and the other? You know what? What it's going to boil down to is who wins. That's what it's going to boil down to. And the point I made a minute ago, we've won all the lawsuits the town has filed against us. We haven't filed a single lawsuit. We have been trying to get rid of these lawsuits. And now it's our turn. And if they've lost all the lawsuits to this point, how do they figure they're going to win the ones going forward?
What would prevent any other property owner behind that critical wildlife from filing a Bert Harris against the town?
Okay, that's an interesting question.
Thank you. It wasn't mine, but I appreciate her
Okay.
putting it up there. I won't say
Okay.
who it was.
We went to the LPA, and we had to have the town forced us into getting a special exception. They wouldn't go for the ordinance for a walkover by right. So we conceded. We said, okay, we'll go through the special exception and we'll see what happens. We go to the special exception. We didn't just get a positive vote. We got a 7-0 unanimous vote.
But their
Okay.
argument is they have more information now.
They have the information that was shown at the council, and it's all information that was discredited in those lawsuits.
So
I'm
then
gonna
why
give-
are they saying they have, I think part of, I'm not going to put words in Jim's mouth, but part of it is that they might not have voted that way if they had the kind of information they had later on. So
Would Jim listen to information that had already been struck down?
I don't know
in the
what
court of law?
information they're talking about, but that's something that was
The
said.
objections that are still
Oh
being
my
brought up.
gosh.
What?
Well,
The objections that are still being brought up by this small fanatical group of people are objections that were all struck down, and the reason why the town lost all the lawsuits they lost. These objections that they continue to bring up are objections that have already been discredited. Why would you continue to listen to information that has been discredited in a court of law?
So we're on the Bert Harris, and we're
Yeah.
already at 10:15. So so what's next? That the council has it on the agenda on Monday, and what are you expecting then?
I don't know. We all know Jim's a swing vote. Jim's a nice guy. Jim's a reasonable guy.
do you think they'll vote on Monday?
I guess if somebody could.
I think they're going to decide whether to accept the offer or not.
Oh,
And so if they don't accept the offer,
Right. They have till the 20th. We gave them till the 20th, a few days past I don't know. They may not decide right then Monday, but they'll get with the attorney within a few days and say what they're going to decide. And so we gave them a few extra days so that they could discuss it. And we gave it to the 20th. And on the 21st, the week after the 21st, we'll be filing to quiet title.
If it's not accepted.
Right. If it's
Okay.
not, if they don't accept our generous offer that we made. And we are trying to have something that is equitable. We're not trying to buy the town. We're not trying to bribe the town. We heard that this grant was turned down, and we were like, hey, it would be Kurt and I are generous people. I do a lot of things for the community that I live in. Kurt does a lot of things in the community he lives in. Imagine the things that we could do in this community once we move here with the money, the hundreds of thousands of dollars that have been spent fighting this walkover that helps the neighborhood. But I want to get back to the Harris thing.
All right, we got to wrap it up.
Okay. All right. This is something else that no one is being told. The public is not aware of this. Okay. The LPA approved our request 7-0 with one stipulation. And that stipulation was that we tried to come up with an agreement so that the other 7 property owners could enter in to the use of this walkover and it would be a neighborhood project. What happened was, without them realizing it, inadvertently, even though the special exception was applied for Kurt and I, the LPA drew the other 7 property owners into that special exception. And so now when the council declined it in November, they didn't just damage Kurt and I's property, they've damaged all 9 properties because they took away something that the LPA included them into.
Last question, and then we gotta go before I get in trouble. What is the potential? I'm not saying that you'll win. I'm not trying to tell people that are on the other side that I think they're going to win. Your houses were assessed at, what's the difference? Like it's in the paperwork, like how much money the taxpayers could lose if it all goes your way, or it doesn't go your way, but they have to pay.
If it goes our way, all right, we have a devaluation of mine and Kurt's property of $1.1 million combined.
1.1 million, and
we've been told. I mean, I don't mind people knowing this. I don't care. The town attorney's not going to admit this, but we have been told by our attorneys in order to get through the Harris Act, it's probably going to cost Kurt and I another couple of $100,000. All right. So once our offer is turned down, once our $105,000 offer is turned down, we're going to start spending that money on attorneys. That offer won't be out there anymore.
Okay.
Then you've got the attorney's fees, and then you've got
Right.
expert testimony. Then you've got court costs. This could easily, just Kurt and I's claim, could easily cost upwards of $2 million. And then imagine what it would be if all the other 7 property owners got involved in it, which we have spoken to.
okay. Well,
All right.
that's not very fun for the taxpayers to have to worry about that. But I guess we'll see Monday. And I guess if they bring it up for a vote, if Ray brings it up for a vote, we'll see what Jim votes. I mean, if Jim Adderholt votes yes, it's over.
Yes. Yeah.
It's over, and you
Right.
get your
That's
your little piece of wood,
Well,
and
I'm gonna give them the money
it's like
and-
it's like 900 feet or something, right? It's
No,
huge.
don't
It's
start-
like
don't
1,000
start.
feet. Right?
No,
It goes
no.
all the way to Cuba.
Don't do that.
How long
let
is
me
it?
clarify that. It's
He
109.
knows
It's
that.
290 feet.
Holy shit, that's like 4 football fields,
It's yeah.
isn't it? No, how
No.
long? No, really, how
No.
long is it?
It's 290 feet. It's less than 1 football field.
Oh, okay.
All right, so, but let me clarify that also. The original design was not that long. That's the DEP's design. That's what the FWC and this DEP determined the dimensions of the walkover, the size, the height, and the length was determined by conversations between the FWC and the DEP. And I want to make one other point. You keep hearing the stupid letter they keep bringing up where the FWC has opposed this walkover. The first letter they sent to the DEP, they did oppose it unless they were willing to make stipulations. We made every single concession the FWC asked, and there was a letter that was generated to the FWC from DEP and said, are you satisfied, or do you want to continue pursuing stopping this walkover? And the email from the FWC said, we're satisfied.
Thank you for coming on, Eddie. Good luck. I think Monday with your vote and all that. And we appreciate you coming all the way from Texas to just be on the show. That was nice of you.
I was fortunate. It turned out great because I didn't know we were going to be on the agenda, and I had no idea.
All right.
So I'm here today. I came out to be on the show.
Thank you.
I'll be here Monday morning.
Thank you.
All
We'll
right.
see you
Thank
there.
you
We'll
so
see you at the
much.
meeting. Eddie Root, everybody. And you want to be tuned in to the meeting on Monday, which is going to be a long one. The agenda was some 600 plus pages long, and I believe the last item is the dune walkover on the agenda. I'm going to read an ad there if you want to help Eddie into his wheelchair so that he can get on down the road there to his house. I'm going to tell you about one of our brand new sponsors here, folks. And I can't do that. Got to back that one up there. See if this could work. Oh, I thought I had it all set to go. It's It's the name of the place is Seahabilitate. It's a rental property, and they have such an awesome special that we wanted to tell you about it. They're going to be renting, and by the way, we're going to be talking about the email. That's coming up right after I read this ad. From August the 29th through October the 10th, $1,000 per week, $142 a night. Folks, the place is located right down the street by Diamond Head. It's within walking distance of Hoosiers. And how can you beat that location? It's a killer location, and it's 3 minutes to the beach. It's a 3-minute walk to the beach. There we have a customer. He needs to do a few push-ups, by the way. He needs to have a cheeseburger. Thank you. Have a good one. You probably see him in the camera going by me. Look at that guy. He needs to work out a little bit. It's a 3-minute walk from the beach. It's on Virginia Avenue. And again, the special is only from August the 29th through October the 10th. Seahabilitate. You can check them out on the Facebook. They have a video that they cut just yesterday where you can see the homeowner walking from the house to the beach. It takes like 3 minutes. She walks by the Hoosiers and across the street, right by the Diamond Head, and then shoots over to the beach. As I was saying, they have beach chairs, they have umbrellas, they have beach toys. So bring the damn family and hang out on Virginia Avenue. 3-bedroom, 2 baths, and again, right across the street from the beach. And it's so beautiful down here right now. You have a chance to social distance from everybody by getting your own house. And how can you beat that special on a beach like this? It's again, $1,000 for a week, for a damn week, everybody. 142 plus fees. Of course, I have to get that in there for the loyalty purposes out there. You want to make sure you mention that. It's called Seahabilitate, and that's SEHABILITATE. Seahabilitate. Hope I spelled that right. But you can Google them on Facebook, or Google them on Facebook, or Facebook them on Google, or whatever you use, and they go directly through the Facebook page or TriPower. And check them out. It's a super looking vacation home. We're going to be telling you about them until it's sold or rented out. August 29th through October 10th. And it's a great time to be on the beach. It's so nice down here today. And we want to thank Dane Eagle for coming on. And we want to thank Eddie Root for coming on. If I could just condense his interviews down a little bit, it would be a little bit better, because I really have to go to the bathroom. It's nice to have him come down and hang out with us. And now he's trying to explain to Kim how he's going to win the lawsuit, so she can't finish the show. He's got like 96 pieces of paper, and her eyes are glazing over right now. But also, don't forget, we have a new app, both for Android and for iOS. Or is that the same thing? Or for iPhone and the Android? You go to the store, the Google Play Store, the App Store. You download the app for Beach Talk Radio News. And the main reason we have the app is because when there's breaking news, we'll send you a push notification out to your phone where you can see, the dune walkover will not be approved, or the dune walker will be approved. And then you can link to our website, our brand new website, Beach Talk Radio News, where we're updating every day with news from the beach. And also we have articles from the Ferry Pod Mother, and we have articles coming every month from the Fire Chief Matt Love, and from Ranger Rob, and other folks that we'll be adding as we go along. And right now, the votes have been crazy. And on Monday, we're going to start to list who's in the lead. And I mentioned the restaurant a little while ago, and I can tell you that the fans of the Hoosiers are doing quite a job in the vote. So if you go to the Facebook page, the website right now, Eddie, she's got to come back on the show. We have to finish the show. She has to come back. for crying out loud. You can go to our
Dear, just
website.
wrap up the show. I'm sure everybody's left.
We have lots of people are waiting for the main event.
Oh, that's right.
We have, what were we saying? What was I talking about? I was talking, the vote for the restaurants. It's just an idea that we came up with, and we're going to start listing the top 10 votes on Monday on our website. You can go on the website now. We have a cool little thing where you can place your vote. And you can vote once a day. And I know some of you are cheaters out there, but that's okay. We're just trying to have some fun. And we're doing the picture of the day. And everybody's been great. And Nervous Nellies has signed on as an early sponsor for the website and the newsletter.
Thanks
and
to them.
JPS
Thank you to
Vacations. Thank you so much to Heidi and Bruiser. And we're going to be telling you more about what those guys are doing there. I'm getting ready to jump on your pad there because I don't want it to blow away. And finally, we wanted to let you know that, yes, we got this copy of the email. It was a public document.
You got the email.
And it was former Mayor Tracy Gore who we read the email. And it was really about there's Lenny. It was really about the nuisance abatement board and her opinion on it. And she just can't let it go. She just can't let it go that it's like the deep state now.
Well, dear, she
is a citizen. She can write,
but write in her opinion about it.
But it's a condescending way that she thinks that this council doesn't know what they're doing and that they need her advice or they need her to be directing them or leading them in a certain direction about things.
Providing them some of the historical ordinances
please.
Are in effect.
You don't think they know that? You don't think they know that?
I'm sure they do.
And let's remember that she was elected because she was against Margaritaville. Let's remember that that's the cabal that's she's part of, and that she was caught with Dennis and the Patton family.
Okay, all of that is
that's
history.
Part of the whole thing. I don't know why that's part of the whole thing, but I like bringing that up. But anyway, so we were deciding whether or not Kim was going to read it in like a very theatrical voice. With all the proper tones and things. We're going to set some background music to it and the whole thing. But I think we decided that we're not going to read it. We're just going to let it die and not bring any more light to what she's doing. And I think part of the reason is she was so belligerent toward 3 council members and personally attacked them after I thought making a couple of good points. I have to be honest about the nuisance abatement plan. But when she went off on a personal attack, not only on 3 council members, I mean, it was vicious. Mm-hmm. And one business owner, it's just like, why do I want to read it on the show? And it's almost like rehashing the attack by, bringing that up with the 3 folks. So I like very much, by the way, all 3 of them. And so I don't want to say who they are. There are 5. I like all 5 of them. I don't know. When he said I didn't have a fondness for our mayor.
I know you took offense to that.
I did. We disagree, or I disagreed, and not that anyone cares what I think. But anyway, we're not going to read the email because it would just be pointless. And we don't want to do anything pointless on this show, anyone. We've decided that we're not going to do anything pointless.
It's divisive, and I don't
think
it's
for
important.
At least saying that.
I don't think that's a good thing to do.
Steve called me a coward.
I'm sure he did.
Yeah.
But is it not available to other people?
Well, if I said that, then everybody would bother Michelle, and she's going to getting ready to retire at the end of the year. You got to try and get a interview with her.
But I don't want to make it seem like you have some access. You don't have any special access.
It's available.
You don't get any special compensation.
I don't get anything special.
We're clear about who's advertising on our newsletter.
But I don't mind playing this.
Me.
What are you doing?
I have to say something about the fishing industry since I own a shrimp boat and I'm in the commercial fishing industry. We are alive and well.
Boring.
I do very well.
Boring.
I don't know what you're
playing. I pay my quarterly taxes.
Boring.
There is a net man because I pay the net man. I pay the diesel mechanic. I pay all these
people
folks,
that work on my shrimp thank
boats.
you so much for joining us
today. I never realized how boring this game is.
They are alive and well. They are not a dying breed. I mean, it keeps me, in a home, and we do very well. We do very well. We do very well. I do very well. I do very well. I do very well. Me. The fishing industry, all of us, we follow the rules and the regulations. None of you would be able to make it. If you can't make it following the rules and regulations with Lee County put in books today, you would never make it in the fishing industry because we were regulated to death. federally, statewide, locally. But we follow the rules and we make it. We love you, Frank, man. Everybody wishes you were our elected official in our communities.
He is.
Boring. Boring. You're boring, everybody.
Oh.
Quit boring, everyone.
That
So everybody else is following these
Sorry.
rules and regulations. It's not fair to give one prop. You can't.
that was from the county board meeting when they were talking about the building over by the other side of the bridge there on Main Street, which, by the way, they filed a lawsuit against. So anyway, thank you all for tuning in, everybody. We appreciate your time. We're sorry we went so long today. Thanks to Dane Eagle. And don't forget to go out and vote on Tuesday for so many different offices that are up for election. And don't forget the council meeting is Monday, and we will be carrying it live, and Kim will be in the audience wearing her mask. And we just want to say thank you to everybody, and hope we didn't leave any sponsors out, but take care and have a great weekend. And we love you all.